It starts with a phone call you almost don't answer. It's 11:47 on a Tuesday night. You're sitting in the spare bedroom of your flat in a city you moved to 3 years ago for a job that didn't work out. Assistant coach at a League Two side, 42 players you'll never coach in a stadium you'll never fill. Your contract expires in May. You have 3,800 pounds in your current account and a tactics board your ex-girlfriend left behind because she said it smelled like defeat. The number is withheld. You answer it anyway. The voice on the other end doesn't introduce himself. He doesn't need to. You know who he is. Everyone in football knows who he is. He owns 3 clubs across Europe, 2 sports media companies, and a hospitality group that turns stadiums into revenue streams. He has been described in the press as visionary, disruptive, and polarizing. He has been described by ex-managers as impossible, controlling, and cruel. There are exactly 14 men who have held the job he is offering you, and not one of them lasted more than 18 months. He says your name. He says the club's name. He says a number. The number is 2.4 million pounds a year. You say yes before he finishes the sentence. You know what you're walking into. You've read the articles. You've watched the fan channels, the 30-minute breakdown videos, the open letters posted on supporter forums at 2 a.m. by men who have supported this club since before you were born. You've seen the interviews with the last manager who sat in front of a press conference camera with the look of a man who had survived something he could not fully explain. You tell yourself you're different. You're not wrong exactly. You are different. You're younger. You're hungrier. You don't have a reputation to protect because you barely have a reputation at all. You have fresh ideas about pressing structures and squad rotation and psychological safety in the training environment. You have a laptop full of data analytics that the last 4 managers never bothered to open. You genuinely believe that what this club needs is someone who doesn't care what the fans think. That belief is the most expensive thing you'll ever own. The first press conference is on a Thursday morning. You wear the club's colors for the first time. The badge feels foreign on your chest. There are 37 journalists in the room, and you recognize almost none of them, which means most of them were sent here because this appointment is a story, not because they follow the club. You are not the story they expected. You are 20 years younger than your predecessor. You have managed exactly 1 senior club for 11 months in a division that this room considers barely professional football. The first question is not about football. It's about you. Specifically, it's about whether you think you're qualified. You smile. You say that results will answer that question better than you can. You say the words you prepared. You are measured and confident, and you do not take the bait when the journalist in the 3rd row describes your previous role as a lower league stint in a tone that sounds almost kind but isn't. The clips of your answer get 400,000 views by midnight. Half of them are people saying you seem decent. Half of them are people saying you won't last 6 weeks. The squad is not what the brochure suggested. Your sporting director, a man named Adrian, who communicates primarily through WhatsApp voice notes and a single raised eyebrow, shows you the wage structure on your second day. The top earner makes 65,000 pounds a week. He is 31 years old, perpetually injured, and hasn't started a league game since October. Yet he has 2 years left on his contract. The club cannot afford to release him and cannot afford to keep him. He is, Adrian explains with the raised eyebrow, something of a situation. You meet the squad on day 3. They are polite, cautious. A few of them look at you with the specific expression of men who have watched managers come and go often enough that they've stopped investing in new ones before the window opens. One of your senior center backs, a captain in the technical sense only, he shakes your hand for slightly too long. He says he's looking forward to working with you. He says it the way people say the weather looks nice when they mean they don't want to have this conversation. You run your first training session and it goes well, better than well. There's a fluency in the patterns you're asking for, and intelligence in the squad that the results haven't reflected. You drive home that evening thinking the journalists had it wrong. You drive home thinking this might actually work. This is Act 1. It always feels like this. The first match is at home on a Saturday against a team sitting fourth in the table. You lose 3-1. The post-match press conference lasts 11 minutes. A supporter outside the stadium shouts something at your car as you leave. You don't hear the words clearly, but you understand the sentiment. You check your phone when you get back to your flat, while the fan account with 40,000 followers has already posted a graphic comparing your tactical setup unfavorably to your predecessors. Someone in the comments section has found your home address. You report it. Nothing happens. You stop checking the comments. That decision takes approximately 4 days longer than it should have. The owner calls on Sunday morning. He does not ask how you're feeling. He asks about the shape you used in the second half and whether it was planned or reactive. You explain your reasoning. He listens without speaking for 45 seconds, which is exactly long enough for you to start doubting yourself. And then he says, "Interesting." He says he'll send you some notes. The notes arrive at 11 p.m. in a 20-slide PDF that is clearly not his own work. Someone on his staff spent their Sunday producing a detailed critique of your in-possession structure using data you don't have access to yet. You implement 2 of the suggestions. Not because they're better than your ideas, because you need the next 4 weeks to prove yourself and you are not in a position to lose his confidence before you've won a match. You win the next match 2-0. The owner sends a voice note. He says, "Good." He says he knew you'd figure it out. You notice he does not say he knew his suggestions would work, because the 2 things he suggested are not the things that led to the goals. But you say thank you. You say we're building something. You mean it at this point. You genuinely mean it. 3 months in, the team is 12th. The owner expected 7th. The gap between expected and actual is becoming a conversation that happens without you in rooms you are not invited to. You find out about the first conversation when Adrian stops replying to your WhatsApp messages within the same day. Then the delay stretches to 2 days, then 3. You walk into his office one morning and there is a man you don't recognize sitting across from him. Adrian introduces him as a consultant. The consultant does not explain what he is consulting on. He shakes your hand and leaves without looking back. A journalist contacts you that afternoon. He says he's heard the club is exploring alternative managerial options. He asks if you'd like to respond. You say you have no comment and that your focus is entirely on the next match. You hang up and sit in the car park for 6 minutes. You call the owner. He answers on the 4th ring. He sounds tired or possibly bored, which is worse. He says he believes in your process. He says he just needs to see a bit more urgency. He says the word urgency the way people say it when they mean results, and results the way they mean it when they mean now, and now the way they mean it when they've already made a different decision that they haven't told you about yet. You finish the call. You go back inside and run the best training session of your tenure. The transfer window opens and the player you've been promised, a central midfielder, 24 years old, everything your system needs, goes to a club 3 divisions above you for a fee you are told the owner approved in principle but then found a better use for. The replacement they offer you is a loan. The loan player's parent club insists on a clause that limits his playing time per match. The clause means you can only start him if you plan to substitute him before the 68th minute. You argue. Adrian looks at the ceiling. You argue more specifically. Adrian says the owner has reviewed the options, and this is the best available outcome within the budget framework. You ask what budget framework. He hands you a printed document. The document contains a number you were not shown when you were interviewed for this job. The number is significantly lower than what you were led to expect. You sign the loan agreement. You start using the word framework in your own speech without noticing for approximately 2 weeks. The abuse gets worse in February. Not from the stands exactly. The stands are loud and hostile, but there's an honesty to that, a directness that you can respect even when it's pointed at you. It's the online architecture of it that wears you down. And it's the accounts that exist solely to post footage of your press conference, body language analyzed for signs of weakness. It's the fan channel host with 110,000 subscribers who calls you the worst appointment in the club's modern history in a video that gets 300,000 views and then invites you on to respond, which you decline, which he then makes a video about. It's the journalist who covers the club who isn't hostile to you exactly, but whose framing has shifted in the last 6 weeks from cautious optimism to something that sounds like gathering evidence. You stop reading it. You stop reading all of it. Your performance coach flags that 3 of your players have been tagging you in negative content on their private accounts. Not publicly, privately. You don't act on it, but you file it away in the part of your mind where you put things that matter but that you can't afford to let matter yet. You are 14 months into the job when you win your first trophy. It is not a big trophy. It is a domestic cup competition that the club has not won in 22 years, which sounds significant until you remember that the club hasn't really tried to win it in most of those years, but your squad wanted it. You could feel them wanting it from the quarterfinal onwards. A collective need that had nothing to do with the owner or the consultants or the budget framework or the fan channels, just players who wanted to win something together. The final is away from home. Your supporters fill one end of the stadium. For 93 minutes, they are the loudest thing in the building. Your goalkeeper makes a save in the 87th minute that he will describe in interviews for the rest of his career. Your captain, the one who shook your hand for too long on day 3, lifts the trophy with tears running openly down his face. You stand at the edge of the pitch and watch it and feel something you were not prepared for. You feel like you belong here. That feeling is the second most expensive thing you'll ever own. The owner calls that night. He says, "Congratulations." He says he always believed in you. He says the club is ready to take the next step. And he uses the phrase next step the way people use it when they mean they want something new from you, without acknowledging what you've already given. He says he wants a top 6 finish next season. You say you can do that with the right investment in the squad. He says investment is a word he prefers to use carefully. You say you understand. You don't say the wage bill is too high, the data infrastructure is 3 years behind the division, the captain needs replacing. The sporting director doesn't actually support the manager, and the entire culture of the club treats survival as an achievement worth celebrating. You don't say any of that. You say you understand, and you start planning for a top 6 finish with tools that were built for something smaller. 17 months in, you are sacked on a Wednesday morning. The results haven't collapsed. You're 9th. 9th is not top 6, but 9th is not a crisis either. Not in any objective reading of the season. But the owner doesn't read seasons objectively. He reads conversations, optics, and narratives, and the narrative around you has shifted in a direction he no longer finds useful. The call lasts 4 minutes. He says the club is moving in a new direction. He says it with the warmth of a man reading a statement he didn't write. He thanks you for your service and the cup and the work you did with the young players, in exactly that order. He does not say he's sorry because he is constitutionally incapable of it, and you both know it. You say you understand. You clear your desk the next morning. Adrian is not in the office. 3 players text you. Your assistant coach, who has been with you since League 2, says he'll follow wherever you go next. You tell him to wait and see where next is before he commits. The announcement goes up on the club's website at noon. The comments section is immediately full of people saying it was the right decision, and people saying it was a disgrace, and people saying they saw it coming from the beginning. The fan channel host posts a 15-minute breakdown of where your tenure went wrong. It gets 450,000 views by the end of the day. He does not mention the cup. You sit in your flat that evening with your tactics board and your laptop and 3 years of session plans and data sets and analyst reports that belong to you and not to the club. You are 36 years old. You have managed 2 senior clubs. You have won a trophy. You have been publicly criticized in ways that most people in football never experience, and you came through it with your methods intact and your staff loyal and a group of players who genuinely developed under your coaching. And none of that shows up in the headline. The headline is Club Parts Ways with Manager After Disappointing Season. You tell yourself you'll get back into management quickly. You tell yourself the right club is out there, one where the owner actually understands the process, where the sporting director is a genuine collaborator, where the fan base is passionate but not corrosive. You tell yourself all of this with the conviction of a man who has not yet been through it a second time. You're not wrong about getting back in. The phone rings again 6 weeks later. It's a different number, a different owner, a different city. Same withheld number. Same Tuesday night. You look at the tactics board. You look at the number on your phone. You think about the 18 months you just lived through. The cup, the Wednesday morning, the 4-minute call, Adrian's raised eyebrow, the fan channel host, the 11 p.m. PDFs, the lone player with the 68-minute clause. You pick up. Here you say yes before they finish the sentence, because somewhere out there is a squad that needs what you know, because the work is the only thing that has ever made complete sense to you, because you are still 36 and there is still time and the next one will be different, because that is what everyone who does this job believes, right up until the moment they stop believing it. And the cycle resets. Somewhere right now, and a young coach is sitting in a spare bedroom with a tactics board and a phone that's about to ring. They have fresh ideas about pressing structures and psychological safety in the training environment. They have a laptop full of data the previous managers never opened. They genuinely believe that what the club needs is someone who doesn't care what the fans think. They answer on the second ring. They say yes before the sentence is finished. They have absolutely no idea.